In a shock move, John Kosmina has quit as coach of Adelaide United with 9 games to go. He cited a lack of trust in the board. The resignation comes as the Reds appear headed for a finals berth, sitting in 4th place on the A-League ladder.
John Kosmina has never been one to sidestep confrontation, but today he walked away from his second stint as coach of Adelaide United. The 56-year-old is yet to speak to the club and instead announced his decision in a statement to Football Federation Australia. Kosmina slammed the club for a lack of trust and says there is no clear direction and no vision, and added that management is reactive, impulsive and lacks consistency. The attack stunned the club's board, which was due to meet next month, to consider a 2-year contract extension for Kosmina.
We had a process in place which he agreed with and took no issue with. So to say that we are amazed by an alleged lack of trust is very, very significant. Adelaide's
inaugural coach was previously forced to step down in 2007 after criticising refereeing decisions during a 6-0 grand final loss to Melbourne and a previous incident involving Victory skipper Kevin Muscat. After a stint at Sydney FC, he returned to the Reds midway through last season to replace sacked manager Rinnie Coolin. United sits 2 wins behind league leaders Central Coast with 9 games to go, but there's concern Kosmina's decision could affect the team's performance.
It could have a massive impact on the fact that we may not win the next few games because of this unrest and player unrest.
The club will attempt to push the disruption to one side.
There's 21 blokes there who are contracted, who are all professionals, and they will play for the next 2 weeks, which are huge games for us.
United face 3rd-placed Western Sydney at home on Sunday, with Michael Valkanis at the helm as interim coach. John O'Shea, ABC News, Adelaide.
An 83-year-old man has been charged with the murder of his wife in the mid-north town of Gladstone. Police were called to the couple's Cross Street home in the early hours of the morning to find the 86-year-old woman dead in her bedroom.
Residents of Gladstone, particularly friends and neighbours of the elderly couple, were left stunned by the death.
It's just a hell of a big shock to everyone, I think. I think you'll find that in the whole town.
At about 3:30 this morning, police allegedly received a phone call from a man who told officers his 86-year-old wife was dead. Police haven't revealed how the woman died. The couple moved from Western Australia to Gladstone about 20 years ago, and neighbours say they were rarely seen apart.
They were always, walking around, or walk down the street and with hand in hand, so, always together.
The man was taken to the Port Pirie police station where he was eventually charged with murder.
I feel so sorry for him, I really do, because he's a nice man and she was I can't get over it.
Neighbours describe the couple as quiet but friendly and say they had withdrawn from the community in recent years but remained devoted to each other.
When I used to play cricket, I used to come and watch, but they haven't for the last 2-3 years.
The man will appear in the Port Pirie Magistrates Court on Monday. John O'Shea, ABC News, Gladstone.
And 2 of the brightest football talents from the APY lands took another step on their journey to the AFL when they made their SANFL reserves debuts this afternoon. The SANFL is hopeful they can become the first of many to find their way from the state's outback and into professional sport.
It took Amos Frank and Kieran Roberts 14 hours to drive from their home in the APY lands in the northwest of South Australia to Woodville Oval in Adelaide's west. The 2 men are on a mission to become the first players from the Far Northwest Football League to play SANFL and outline a pathway for other young footballers from Central Australia.
Really proud of me when I'm down here, and then, be a role model when I go back.
I know both of them really want to see how far they can go in their footy, and I think that there's plenty of opportunity for them to come down here, do their stuff with the SANFL and hopefully maybe AFL, but then go back to lands later on and really show that there is a way to do it.
They hope to one day follow in the steps of Melbourne's Liam Jarrah, who became the first person from a remote Aboriginal community to make it to the AFL when he made the move from Yuendumu near Alice Springs. Frank and Roberts have already played on the bigger stage. They starred in the curtain raiser to this year's Dreamtime at the MCG game during the AFL's Indigenous round.
It was great, being on this turf,
First time I was a little nervous too, playing down there.
The two were identified by former Crows champion Andrew McLeod on a visit to the remote communities.
It was great when he came down to the lands. He showed like youngsters how to be a footballer. And
during tests conducted by the Crows, Roberts posted elite beep test results with limited fitness training, while Frank smashed the club's 20-metre sprint record set by Patrick Dangerfield. That was enough for Woodville West Torrens to take a punt on the pair, naming them in the reserve side.
Have you seen them play yet?
No, I haven't seen them, but I've come on the recommendation of Andrew McLeod, so that's a fair reference, I would think.
Against Glenelg, Frank and Roberts didn't disappoint, combining well and proving dangerous in front of goals. They'll head home during the week for their own final series, but the Eagles are hopeful they'll return next season to push for a league spot, as the club looks to build a relationship with the untapped talent pool of the far northwest. John O'Shea, ABC News, Adelaide.
Adelaide will rejig its misfiring forward line for this weekend's showdown with Port Adelaide after losing Josh Jenkins for the rest of the season. The Crows enter the match as underdogs in the last showdown at Football Park.
Adelaide's tall forward stocks continue to dwindle, with the club today confirming that Jenkins will have a plate inserted into the ankle he fractured during Saturday night's away loss to Fremantle. Sean McKernan will undergo a fitness test on his injured ankle later in the week, clearing the path for Lewis Johnston to be selected after his 7-goal haul for North Adelaide yesterday.
We've been able to manufacture ways of getting winning scores, so we're going to certainly have to look at other avenues this week and possibly some different personnel up forward.
The Crows will, however, receive a boost with Patrick Dangerfield and Ben Rutten expected to play. Port enter the match as showdown favourites, a position unfamiliar to the club in recent years, but wary of Adelaide, who will have nothing to lose on Sunday.
And there's always plenty on the line. There's a lot of pride in stake, and I don't think any showdown's easy to go into, no matter where you are on the ladder.
The Power, however, will like their chances of taking another step towards its first finals appearance since 2007 after consecutive tight victories.
So it gives us a lot of confidence, a lot of belief, because in the past we might have faded in games.
The Adelaide skipper conceded that placing the hosting rights for next year's first showdown at Adelaide Oval would raise the stakes.
It certainly adds some spice to the contest, I reckon.
7 players, including Crows Scott Thompson and Bernie Vince, have paid for the heated start to last weekend's clash with the Dockers after being slapped with $1,200 fines for their role in a melee that erupted before the opening bounce. And the match review panel has hit Geelong forward James Podsiadly with a 1-match ban for striking St Kilda's Jack Stephen. John O'Shea, ABC News, Adelaide.
Port Adelaide has maintained its position in the top 8 after last night's thrilling win over St Kilda at Docklands. The Saints launched a big comeback to lead during the last quarter, but couldn't hold on as the Power edged home by 5 points. John O'Shea reports.
With Port gunning for its first finals appearance since 2007, a win against the lowly Saints appeared a formality during a dominant opening term. But the Power was forced to dig deep after a second-half fade-out.
We deserved to win the game. Yes, it was a game of 2 halves, but at the end we were brave and strong and held on when we needed to.
John Butcher set the tone early with back-to-back goals. The Saints used some of their forward-marking power to pull level before Port launched a scintillating burst, which netted 4 goals in little over 2 minutes.
Back to Westhoff. Westhoff was very, very impressive from Gray.
The margin blew out to 47 points late in the first half, before the Saints found their groove and kicked 10 of the next 12 goals.
This would be a mighty goal from Jack Stephen! Has it got the length? Yes, it has!
Debutant Tom Curran goaled halfway through the final term to put St Kilda in front and leave the Power stunned.
We just could not get hold of the ball, so as much as we would have liked to have taken the edge off it and slow it down, we probably just couldn't get hold of the ball, and that was St Kilda's good play, not more than anything else.
But just as Port looked out on its feet, it found some run from the back half and was awarded a controversial 50-metre penalty to regain the lead.
It was costly. Whether it was deliberate or undisciplined, I couldn't answer that.
The Saints threw everything at Port in the dying minutes, but the Power did enough to hang on for its 9th win of the season. The victory could come at a cost, with Tom Jonas likely to attract the attention of the match review panel for a head-high bump on Dylan Robertson. John O'Shea, ABC News.